All right, we're just going to go over, what, 7 through 12, right? So let's draw the picture. It says it's the centroid, right? So hopefully you didn't just say, oh, I don't know what a centroid is, and just stop. You could have done several things. What are some of your options if you looked at that and you forgot what a centroid was when you started working on this last night? Or this morning? Or 10 minutes before you came into class? whatever the situation is. What do you think? What would you do if you didn't remember what the centroid was off the top of your head? What would you do? Somebody talk to me. Yeah, but what if you didn't remember that? I'm saying. Just remember center? What's that? Go on YouTube. Okay, that's an option. Or, what else? Look at your notes. Right? That's a good option. What's another option?
Look in your book.
You could look in the book, right? Okay, because it's straight, because what I'm teaching is basically straight from the book. But those are your options, okay? If you go home and you're not really sure what a centroid is, look in your notes. To me, that would be the first option. Okay, if the notes don't make any sense to you, or if you didn't take notes in class, okay, then go to YouTube. That's what I would do. What if you didn't understand a thing I said? Kids in my other class said I was monotone. Do I sound like I'm monotone to you?
No.
I didn't think I was like one of those monotone teachers. I've had monotone teachers, but I didn't think I was one of them. Like they talk like this all the time and they never change their.
Sometimes you do.
Yeah, sometimes. Maybe I kind of get lazy sometimes, and but I never thought of myself as one of those. Yes, I need to be more exhilarated. Yeah, I'll try to stop. I was trying to think of that word yesterday and I forgot about it. I was gonna. I know. I brought up the torpid word. Well, I forgot what the word was, and I said, well, ask somebody in my 5th period class, they'll remember what it was. But I don't remember. All right, so what does it say this thing is? A centroid, right? So how do we find the centroid? We go from an angle to where? From a vertex. Where do we go? To the opposite side. From the vertex where? Do we go perpendicular? Is that how you find the centroid? You go to the midpoint of the other side, the opposite side. So help me out a little bit. Does that look midpoint-ish? Somewhere around in there?
Yeah.
That's good enough. Okay? So that right there is called the median. Remember that? The median is in between the two roads, right? It's halfway, right? Splits it in two. So that splits this side right here into 2 equal parts. That's a median. But when we draw all 3 of them, they all meet at one point. That one point is the centroid. Okay? Got a lot of vocab, right? A lot of new words that you're not really familiar with. You got to be able to figure out what I'm talking about. All right, let's do another one. Let's go from this vertex right here, and we're going to go to the midpoint of this opposite side. Okay, we're not necessarily bisecting this angle, are we?
No.
We're just going to the midpoint. So I'm looking on this side right here, from here to here, trying to find out where the midpoint is. That looks about right there, doesn't it? It's pretty close. All right, let's draw the next one. Now the next one, it should hit where? If we drew all this right, it should hit right where those other 2 intersect, right?
Yeah.
About right there. And it should also hit the midpoint of the opposite side. So if I hit the midpoint of all 3 sides right here, then I've got a centroid. I'll tell you what, let's mark those. Let's mark this side equal to this side, this one equal to this one, and this segment equal to this segment. All right, so if all that stuff's true right there, that thing right there is a centroid. Now, on numbers 7 through 12, they tell you that point H, that point right there, is the centroid. They don't mark these sides equal, do they? These segments equal. But if you look at 1 through 6, look at 1 through 6. They don't tell you it's a centroid, but they do mark the equal segments. Everybody see that? So they can mark the equal segments, and what do you know about this? You know that must be the centroid. Agreed? Or like on this problem, 7 through 12, they tell you that this is a centroid, and so if you know this is a centroid, you know that those 2 are equal, these two are equal. Got it? Hope that makes sense to you. All right, let's mark the rest of these letters right here. What is that? S, and then E. Down here is T. This is M, and R, and what's this one? D. All right, I got it already marked. Yep. All right, so what we're going to do is basically let's find everything. Let's find every segment that we could possibly find. All right. Oh, they tell you some stuff too, right? Yeah, they got to tell you something. So they tell you that EH is 6. EH is that little bit right there, so they tell you that's 6. They tell you that DH is 4. DH is right here, so put a little 4 right here. They also tell you that SM is 24. Now watch this. SM, That's this whole thing right there. Sometimes that's a little messy, but SM is 24. You got to find all the other missing stuff, okay? All the missing segments. Basically, that's what they're asking for, isn't it? To find every single missing segment. And that's what we're going to do. Where do you want to start? What's probably the easiest thing? You could do that, but let's do another one that's a little bit easier. Look, if they told you that EH was 6, what do you think it is from H to R?
12.
Right, how'd you know that? What did we say about this thing?
It's doubled 6.
That's right, the shorter one. Okay, if I double the shorter one, I got the longer segment. Is everybody watching me on this?
Yeah.
Okay, it's very important, okay? It's not that difficult. All right, so let's look at the numbers. We talked about this yesterday, right? We stuck numbers in here just like we're doing today, right? The example we did yesterday was almost identical to the stuff that you're doing today. So look, this little segment right here is 6, so this longer one is twice as big, right? From the centroid to the vertex. That segment right there is twice as big as this. So if this is 6, what is it from H to R? It's 12. Double it, right? Just multiply by 2.
So then 4
Good.
would be, or TH would be.
That's right. Because look at DH. That's 4, isn't it? That's the shorter one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, sometimes they don't always draw it accurately, right? So how do I know? Because sometimes those drawings, I'm telling you, sometimes those drawings, it'll look like this is kind of in the middle, and you can't really tell which one's the bigger one, which one's the smaller one. But how do you always know which one's the bigger one? The bigger one always goes from where? The vertex to the centroid, okay? That's always the bigger one, and then from the centroid to the midpoint, that's always the shorter one. Everybody see that? So from the side to the centroid is the shorter one. From the angle to the centroid is the longer one. Just have to remember that. But on this one, it's fairly accurate, so I can just kind of look to see which one's bigger, can't I? So if this is 4, Josh, what did you say this was? 8. Good. Now, what if I asked you to find DT?
You would
Add them up. That's right. Look, from D all the way to T. Look, I know this is 4. I know this is 8. So what's the whole thing? 12. Got it? What if I ask for ER?
18.
It's 18 because this is 6. This is 12. The whole thing is 18. With me on that?
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is the more difficult one. It's not difficult, I don't think, but it's the more difficult one. It's when they tell you the whole thing. They tell you the whole thing is 24 right here. Divided by what?
3.
And which one? If I divide it by 3, what's that?
That's 8. And that would
Give me
be
the
6.
letters. Give me the letters. Give me the name of the line segment.
MH.
MH, right. MH or HM. That one right there. Now remember, let me say this. This shorter one is 1/3 of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now, it's half of the longer one, but it's 1/3 of the whole entire thing. Everybody hear me on that? So this part right here is half of SH. But we don't know SH, do we? We know the whole thing. So this shorter one is 1/3 of the whole entire thing. So if the whole entire thing is 24, 1/3, how do we do 1/3 math-wise? We just divide by 3, and that's 8. So HM is 8. Now remember what I said, sometimes they don't draw things very accurately or to scale, right? Look at that. This is 8, and this is 8. Do they even look like they're the same length? No, and that's okay, all right, because sometimes they just throw numbers in there. They're not really accurate. When they measure this, they don't really measure this to be 6 and this to be 8 and this to be 4, all right? They just throw numbers in there. You follow me on that?
Yeah.
So you just have to go by the numbers. Go by what we know. Go by our rules that we've learned about this centroid thing. And so just because this looks a lot longer than this doesn't mean you're wrong, does it? All right, because it's not necessarily drawn to scale. All right. So if this is 8, now watch this. We divide it. We took 24 divided by 3, and we get 8. Now, how can I find SH?
You times it by 2, or you just add it.
Good. I like that. You could multiply by 2, or, right, and there's actually a couple ors here. You could do what? Take 24 minus 8, couldn't you? Because the whole thing is 24, this little bit's 8. You could go 24 minus 8, which is 16. Or you could have just gone, what, 8
plus 8.
times 2, right? Yeah, it's plus 8, but we'll say 8 times 2, which is 16. That's another way. What's a third way we could do it? It's probably a way you didn't think about. Now, we said that this little bit is 1/3 of the whole thing. What is SH? It's 2/3 of the whole thing, isn't it? So if you wanted to, I wouldn't do this if I were you, but you could, watch, 2/3 of the whole thing, right? comes out to the same thing. 3 goes into 24 8 times. 2 times 8 is 16. You got it the same exact way. So actually 3 different ways to look at finding this segment right here. Okay? If it was me and I found the shorter one, I would just double it to get that. I think that's the easiest way to do it, don't you? Now, what if I ask, well, they tell you SM. I was going to say, what if they ask for SM? Well, they told you that at the beginning, didn't they? So you don't even have to figure that out because they told you. There you go. You figured out all the answers, all the line segments. What if they did this? What if they said this was 7, SD was 7? What would SR be equal to? What would SR be equal to if SD was 7? 14, right. Because if this is 7, what's this DR? That's 7. SR is the whole thing. 7 and 7 is 14. Make sense? So they could ask you all kinds of stuff like that. Does that help a little bit? Clear things up?
Yep.
All right. Okay, very good. I'm going to give you a second worksheet, and it's going to be, what do you think?
62.
How about that? All right, and that'll be it. All right, I'll give you the rest of the time to work on the second worksheet, and you can turn that in tomorrow.